What if medieval mathematicians and Renaissance geniuses met face to face? What if two worlds, divided by centuries, cultures, and revolutions of thought, collided in a single moment? Tonight, we enter a realm where time bends, where ideas duel, and where the minds that shaped our world confront one another in a battle not of swords, but of symbols, numbers, and pure imagination. Welcome to What If? The Great Minds of History Dueled. Episode 1. Medieval Mathematicians versus Renaissance Innovators. In this imagined encounter, the medieval world stands on one side: monks, scholars, translators, astronomers, custodians of ancient wisdom. And on the other side, Renaissance thinkers, bold innovators, men determined to break from tradition and rebuild knowledge from the ground up, but who truly understood mathematics, who, if placed in the same room, would triumph in reasoning, invention, and discovery. Today, we let their ideas speak. Before the Renaissance rose in Europe, before algebra became symbolic, before geometry met the coordinate plane, there were mathematicians whose work quietly transformed the world. In 1202, Fibonacci brought the Hindu-Arabic numerals to Europe. A simple act that changed everything. Without him, the Renaissance's mathematics would not even have a foundation to stand on. From the Islamic Golden Age came Al-Khwarizmi. His book Algebra gave algebra its very name. His algorithms would power not only medieval commerce, but the Renaissance itself. Oresium sketched the earliest known graphs of mathematical functions. He anticipated principles that Descartes, centuries later, would be credited for. These medieval thinkers did not simply copy ancient knowledge, they transformed it. But would that be enough to face the Renaissance? Girolamo Cardano, brilliant, eccentric, determined, the man who solved the cubic equation and published the secrets that others tried to keep hidden. Niccolò Tartaglia, a self-taught genius scarred by war. His duel with Cardano over algebra was one of the most dramatic intellectual battles of the Renaissance. Viat introduced letters, symbols, to represent quantities. He turned algebra into a language, elegant and powerful. And then came Descartes, philosopher, soldier, mathematician, the man who united geometry and algebra, creating the coordinate plane, a tool that would reshape every science. The Renaissance was not a continuation of the medieval world, it was a rupture. If both sides were placed before a single mathematical problem, who would solve it faster? Who would understand it deeper? Here lies the greatest difference. The medieval world understood mathematics. The Renaissance world expressed it with unprecedented clarity. The duel on speed. The Renaissance wins. On depth, the medievals are far closer than most imagine. Medieval geometry was rooted in Euclid, pure, rigorous, logical. But the Renaissance brought geometry to life, in perspective, in art, in architecture. In this duel, Descartes overwhelms his idea that every curve could be expressed by an equation was one of the greatest breakthroughs in human history. But would he have reached it without Oresium's medieval spark? What is mathematics? A language, a tool, a reflection of God's order. Medieval vision mathematics as harmony to the medieval mind, numbers were abridged to the divine. Renaissance vision mathematics as power to the Renaissance, numbers were instruments to reshape the world. And here the duel becomes philosophical. The medieval mind seeks meaning, the Renaissance mind seeks mastery. Which one is superior, perhaps? Neither. In this clash of eras, we find no simple victor, because mathematics, like history itself, is a chain, a living sequence, a progression of minds building upon one another. Fibonacci made the Renaissance possible. Al-Khwarizmi set the stage for Viat-Oresme, anticipated Descartes, and medieval translators preserved the ancient texts that Cardano and Tartaglia depended on. There is no duel without a predecessor. There is no genius without a forgotten thinker. If medieval and Renaissance mathematicians met in one room, they might not battle. They might marvel at one another. Different eras, different visions, but one legacy shared across the ages. This is the real duel. A duel of ideas that shaped the modern world. Join us for the next episode as we continue to imagine what if the great minds of history